I think there's a natural.
Janelle Brown has become a symbol of strength and independence ever since she made the brave decision to leave her polygamous marriage to Kody Brown. For many years, Janelle was the quiet one in the family, rarely stirring up much drama despite the ongoing complexities of living in a plural marriage. However, as time went on, the dynamics within the Brown family started to shift, and Janelle found herself at a crossroads in her life. As Kody continued to disregard her and her children's needs, Janelle finally found her voice and began to speak up for what she believed in. Janelle's journey toward independence began when she made the decision to leave Flagstaff. After years of struggling with her relationship with Kody, she chose to file for divorce and move to North Carolina to live with her oldest daughter. This was the beginning of a new chapter in Janelle's life, one where she could finally make decisions for herself without the constant pressure and control from Kody. For the first time in a long while, Janelle had a home of her own, a place where she could truly feel at peace and begin to establish roots. Janelle took to Instagram to share her exciting news with her followers. She posted a message about finally having found a place to call home, emphasizing that it might not seem like much right now, but it was the beginning of something special. She described the property as having a chaotic vibe that appealed to her, and she expressed excitement about the possibilities of turning it into something meaningful for herself and her family. Her new home was a blank canvas, and Janelle was determined to build her life from the ground up, focusing on her passions and dreams, especially her love for farming and gardening. Fans who had followed Janelle's journey for years were excited to see her embark on this new adventure. The land she had chosen seemed perfect for her vision of a sustainable farm. As a mother of 6, Janelle had always dreamed of living in a place where she could grow her own produce and create a lifestyle that aligned with her values. Her decision to share her progress on social media allowed her followers to feel like they were a part of this exciting journey. Janelle tagged Tea Farms, the business she had created with her daughter Madison and son-in-law Caleb, which was an important step for her as she moved forward in her life. In September, Janelle shared an update about her farm on Instagram, writing about the hard work and effort that had gone into building something from scratch. She spoke about the messiness and chaos of the process, but also emphasized the joy and fulfillment that came with it. For Janelle, this was not just about building a farm. It was about creating something beautiful out of love and hard work. The process was a reflection of her own personal growth, and she was determined to make her dream a reality. The story of Janelle's journey wasn't just about her leaving Kody, it was also about her choosing to build a life that was authentically her own. Janelle had spent years trying to make a polygamous marriage work, but as the dynamics within the family shifted, it became increasingly clear that she was no longer happy. Kody's actions, or rather his lack of action, were a source of constant frustration for Janelle. She had spent years trying to make her marriage work, but it was always on Kody's terms. As time passed, Janelle began to realize that she deserved more than that. One of the most telling moments in Janelle's journey came when she decided to move out of Flagstaff and leave the polygamous lifestyle behind. Her move was not just a physical one, it represented a deeper emotional shift. For years, Janelle had been loyal to the family, but as she started to build her own future, she realized that she could no longer live under Kody's control. Her decision to leave Flagstaff and start anew was a bold one, and it signified her desire to take charge of her own life. In contrast to Janelle's new life, Kody seemed to be losing control of his once united family. Kody's struggles to maintain his polygamous lifestyle became more evident with each passing season of Sister Wives. His relationships with his wives had become increasingly strained, and the family that had once seemed so tightly knit was now unraveling. The realization that his family was falling apart was difficult for Kody to accept, but it was becoming more and more obvious that the dynamics within the family could no longer continue as they had been. As Janelle moved on with her life, she found herself in a position where she could focus on her own happiness. She had always dreamed of having a sustainable farm, and now she was finally able to pursue that dream without the constant strain of her past relationships weighing her down. The freedom that came with her new life was empowering, and Janelle was able to focus on what truly mattered to her: her family, her passions, and her future. While Janelle was finding her path to independence, Mary Brown, Kody's first wife, was also going through her own transformation. Mary's journey had been long and difficult, filled with betrayal, emotional neglect, and years of trying to make a relationship work with a man who had long since lost interest in her. For years, Mary remained by Kody's side, hoping that things would improve. However, it became clear that Kody was not invested in their marriage. Mary's emotional pain was compounded by the fact that she was unable to meet Kody's ever-changing demands and expectations. She had spent years trying to fulfill his list of requirements, but nothing she did seemed to be enough. She was left feeling isolated and alone. Mary's emotional journey took a dramatic turn when she became involved in a catfishing scandal in 2015. In an attempt to find solace and emotional support, Mary turned to the internet, where she met a person who claimed to be a man but was later revealed to be a woman posing as a guy. Mary shared intimate photos and personal details with this person, only to be blackmailed later on. When the truth came out, Mary was forced to come clean to Kody and the rest of the family. Kody was furious, not because he cared about Mary's emotional well-being, but because his authority was challenged. Despite the scandal, Mary tried to rebuild her relationship with Kody. However, it became clear that Kody was no longer emotionally invested in their marriage. He was focused on his relationship with Robin, his fourth wife, and Mary's efforts to win back his love were unsuccessful. As Mary struggled to understand the situation, she realized that Kody had already emotionally distanced himself from her. She had spent years trying to prove her loyalty to him, but it was all in vain. Kody had made it clear that he no longer valued her, and Mary eventually came to the painful conclusion that it was time to move on. Mary's decision to leave Kody was not an easy one, but it was one that was necessary for her own well-being. She recognized that she deserved better than the treatment she had been receiving for years. The emotional neglect, the constant rejection, and the lack of support had taken a toll on her. She had been living in a marriage that was no longer fulfilling, and she knew that it was time to take control of her own life. Mary's departure from Kody and the family was a significant moment in her journey. It marked the end of a long and difficult chapter in her life and the beginning of a new one. Mary no longer needed to wait for Kody's approval or seek his validation. She was ready to live her life on her own terms. Her move to a new place, away from the complications of her past, was the first step in her journey toward healing and self-discovery. As Mary began her new life, she realized that her happiness no longer depended on the approval of others. She had spent too many years trying to please people who didn't value her, and now she was ready to embrace her independence. Her story was one of resilience, courage, and personal growth, and it served as a reminder that it is never too late to start over and create the life you want for yourself. In the years that followed, Mary found peace in her new life. She focused on herself, her own happiness, and her personal growth. She no longer felt the need to explain herself or justify her decisions to others. She had taken back control of her life, and she was determined to make the most of it. Through all of the struggles and challenges, Mary had come out stronger and more confident than ever before. As Janelle and Mary embraced their new lives, Kody was left to grapple with the consequences of his actions. His control over the family had slipped away, and he was faced with the reality that his once unified family was no longer the same. The Brown family had changed, and it seemed that their polygamous lifestyle was no longer sustainable. For Janelle and Mary, leaving Kody was not just about walking away from a marriage. It was about reclaiming their lives and finding happiness on their own terms. They both chose to prioritize their own well-being and happiness, and in doing so, they found the strength to move forward and embrace new beginnings.